Hi there, thank you for tuning in to another video with me, Marcus Lee, host of the podcast So This Works. Listen, football is back, and I am celebrating by wearing the shirt of the best team in the world. The world is a better place right now because football has returned. Because of the state of the world, however, the current climate that we're living in, all of the ups and downs that we're going through at the minute, I always feel like I want to talk about something that's positive. I know there's a lot of negativity out on social media, so I always want to contribute something that's good. So I'm going to talk about something that we all do subconsciously that we can be guilty of, but we can also get better at this one thing. And it's something that we all take part in, whether we're rich, poor, married, single, got friends or no friends, old, young, kids as young as 5 years old do this thing, but it's something that we can all get better at not doing. And the thing I want to talk to you about is WhatAboutIsms. WhatAboutIsms. Maybe you've heard that word before, maybe you haven't, but I'm going to explain what this means. And I'm going to read out a definition from Wikipedia. Don't know if you've heard of that website. It's got loads of information on there, so it all must be true. But check this out. This is the definition of whataboutism. Whataboutism, also known as whataboutery, is a variant of the tu quoque logical fallacy that attempts to discredit an opponent's position by charging them with hypocrisy without directly refuting or disproving their argument. Tu quoque, by the way, is Latin for you also. Here is my Marcus definition of whataboutism. Often when we can't challenge an argument or we don't have a strong enough leg to stand on, we take the stance of, well, look at you, mate. So if you have two people, this is what a conversation looks like. Person A makes claim X. Person B asserts that A's actions or past claims are inconsistent with the truth of claim X. Therefore, according to person B, X is false. Now, we can all think of examples, I'm sure, of examples of this, examples of whataboutery, where two people are having a conversation and one person just cannot focus on the topic in hand. So, if you look in the world of football, it looks something like this. Why is it that Manchester United have not performed well this season? Hang on a minute, who do you support? Do you support Arsenal? Well, they're not exactly doing well, are they? They're like struggling to get in the top 8. Who are you to talk to me about a good team? Arsenal are doing rubbish. Maybe so, but the question I'm asking and the topic we're talking about is about Manchester United. Arsenal are rubbish right now, mate. Not even going to qualify for the Europa League. That's how bad your team is, so I don't know who you are to question me about football. So the original question never actually gets answered because the two people can't have a flowing conversation about the same topic. They can't focus on the topic in hand. If the topic in hand is about Manchester United not doing well, talk about Manchester United not doing well. Don't deflect and talk about something else. And this happens in all walks of life. I mean, I've heard that it happens in some marriages, not my marriage, because my marriage is lovely and wonderful and we get on perfectly all the time. But for example, in some marriages, you might have a situation where one partner says, you spilled a drink. The other partner responds with, well, you dropped a plate of food on the carpet 3 years ago. And then the first person says, well, this moment isn't about 3 years ago, it's about now. Well, Nick, you spill stuff in, and it's just that back and forth. It's like, no, we're talking about the fact that something has happened now. So if you start to recognise what a whataboutism is, you will notice that politicians are fantastic at this. They do this all the time. They refuse to answer questions directly. So whoever you support, whatever side of the fence you fall on, if you think that person is amazing and you think that person is the Antichrist, generally all politicians do it. It looks a little bit like this. Let's take a prime minister, for example, and put them on the spot. Mr. Prime Minister, you said that millions of pounds would go towards health services. How is that working out? Well, we've been doing a great job, and compared to the last government who wasted money on a range of services, we've been doing a fantastic job. Yeah, Mr. Prime Minister, no, the question was, what happened to the millions of pounds that are going towards health services? What are you doing about that in your government? Not the past government, your government. Well, like I said before, we're doing a wonderful job, and, compared to the previous government, we're doing wonderful things. They wasted lots of money. That's not what the question was, so it didn't deserve that answer. People who can't answer direct questions and give a direct response related to the question that was asked are the people that are guilty of whataboutisms. So if you look at the issues that we are talking about today, Black Lives Matter, for example, is huge right now. We are seeing people march, we are seeing people protest, we are seeing calls for changes in laws and the way that police do certain things. That is a current issue. Black Lives Matter. But to say all lives matter now, that is a whataboutism. Because we are talking about Black Lives Matter. So to just respond with, well, all lives matter, that's not talking about the issue of Black Lives Matter. That's wanting to just say, hang on a minute, well, no, this is more important. There's a lack of focus on the topic that is in hand. I saw a great tweet yesterday, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the user, and if I could, I would, put their name on screen, but they use a Twitter example of saying, hey, can you imagine if I'm raising money for testicular cancer, and then someone says, well, what about all cancer? All cancers matter, right? So therefore, it nullifies that person who wants to raise money for testicular cancer, because we can't just focus on that one thing at this moment in time. We have to, if you focus on that, you're somehow disrespecting all cancers. So how do we challenge these whataboutisms? How do we stop being the people who are doing the whataboutisms? Well, it's difficult. It requires some hard work. It starts with us putting ourselves in the seat of a listener. So instead of doing all the talking, we have to do this for a bit, and it's really difficult. It's difficult because you risk looking like you're the person who's in the wrong. It's difficult because you might sit there and you feel like you're being made out to be the guilty party. But when you're having a conversation, you need to listen to what the other person is saying. Listen to what they have to say in its entirety. If it takes that person 60 seconds or 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get out what they have to say, let them do it. The amount of conversations that I've had, and I'm sure you've had, where you start talking and you're making your point, and 4 or 5 seconds in, the other person is ready to jump in and fight back and challenge what you've said. We've lost count, I'm sure, of the amount of times that has happened to us. But we have to be willing to, when we're listening, when we're in the seat of the listener, we have to just stop, take it in, suck it up, be willing to think that, okay, maybe I look a bit bad here, and listen to what the person says in full. Then, when they finish speaking, we then get a chance to say our piece. We take in what they say, we listen. We don't just make a quick assumption in that 4 or 5 seconds, that first sentence of what they've said. We listen fully to what they have to say. We give them the respect of that, and then we get to say our piece. And if we have conversations like that, where that person gets to talk about what's important to them, what bothers them, what they would like to see change, without us taking it personally, without us taking our bat and ball home, and just letting that conversation be what it needs to be, and not coming back with our point straight away, if we're able to focus on topics, you know what? I think we'll see a lot of positive change. If we, for example, talk about Black Lives Matter, and we listen to people who are saying Black Lives Matter without doing our whataboutisms, without saying, well, I think this, well, I think all lives matter. If we just listen, we'll actually see Black Lives Matter be dealt with, and we'll see progress, and then we'll move forward. So focus on the topic in hand is my advice. And I'll finish on that point and just say, you know what, thank you for watching this video. If you want to hear more podcast episodes, you can check out my website, sothisworks.co.uk. You can also find it on Spotify and iTunes, podcasts, Google Podcasts, and various other places. But thank you for listening. Please share this video. Tell someone that you had a really good time watching it, and if you didn't enjoy it, just stay silent. But until next time, and there will be a next time, take care of yourselves.